I am John Forsman. I'm the Fraud Investigation Coordinator of the Special Investigation Unit at State Fund. I have about 24 years experience at the State Fund. I've been there 2 years. Before that, I did investigations with the State Auditor's Office. So I've been with the state 24, 25 years, something like that. And I work with Shane Shaw. He's our field investigator. Shane has approximately 19 to 20 years as an officer with the Gillette Police Department. And when he moved to Montana, he went to work for the Department of Justice as an investigator. Coincidentally, his job was to investigate state fund cases. And then about 3 years ago, he came over to the State Fund to work for us. We're attached to the legal unit, and so our boss is an attorney. His name is Kurt Larson. He reviews everything that we do, has his hand on it, but we pretty much run the investigations. Shane does the investigations, I do a few, but mostly I coordinate between our office, Department of Justice, and our private investigators. That pretty well keeps them busy, and I don't have to write reports. That's the best part of the whole thing. Some of our duties of the SIU is we develop fraud detection, prevention, and prevention procedures. We investigate reports of fraud and suspicious activity. We will get into those different activities later. We assist claim investigations by managing surveillance. That's the private investigators. And we educate Montana State Fund staff, claims examiners, policyholders, insurance agents, and the public. Why do we want to investigate fraud? We want to hold offenders accountable. We want to protect the integrity of the work comp system without something there to keep people in check. We work as a deterrent for others who might consider cheating. And the legislature mandated that Montana State Fund investigate and refer suspected fraud cases to the Department of Justice. At the Department of Justice, we pay for one investigator, one prosecuting attorney, and 2 part-time staff people. We send all of our cases that we're going to prosecute or that we have strong suspicion that we have a good fraud case, we send to them. We used to be criminal justice. Since February of 2012, we requested that the governor take that away. It wasn't exactly right that we would gather criminal justice information and use it in claims, and also it didn't stand up well in court. So we asked to have that taken away. It doesn't affect our jobs very much. We still send the information to the Department of Justice. Some pretty big money involved with fraud. More than $105 million paid out in benefit payments. That's through the State Fund. More than $165 million in net earned premium. And then even if 1% of that is fraud, that's a large number. I've seen anywhere where they consider fraud up to 20%. I don't know that it's 20%, but I suspect it's not 1%. I think it's higher. Everything I've read says it's higher, and just because we're in Montana, I'm sorry, but it happens. Fraud, we tend to think of as this crime, this thing where somebody's going to jail, but oftentimes what it means is good people do something bad. They make mistakes. So we have a lot of choices. We can prosecute if we can find the information and find intent, but we also educate. That's a very important thing, that we educate people that may be doing something wrong. Scenarios, we have a couple scenarios, and these are just off the internet and out of our head, some of the crazy things in our head. But the pictures are nobody. However, they do represent things you can imagine happening. You know that John Doe is off work and receiving work comp disability pay. He claims to have a back injury that prevents him from working. You're at the lake and you see him water skiing. That's a scenario that, it's real, it happens. We have those cases every year, and it might be water skiing, it might be downhill skiing, might be car racing, a lot of different things. What crime might John Doe be committing? Okay, people who are accused of work comp fraud on injury claims of state fund are actually prosecuted for theft, not fraud. It's theft. 456301 is the the code site for theft. And right there under that is the work comp information in Title 39. I don't have to read that to you. You can look at that on one of the slides or look it up in the codes. People that are applying for benefits and commit fraud, one of the ways is filing a false claim. Another is working while on benefits, faking disability, misrepresenting wages, malingering. And these crimes can be felonies if they're over $1,500 in losses. I'm telling you, $1,500 is pretty easy to come to. We don't send anything to the Department of Justice that's not over $1,500. They don't want to touch it, and they don't prosecute misdemeanors. Filing a false claim, pretty much everybody knows what that is. Working while on benefits, my big one there is the roofer that's hurt, working on the roof, and getting paid to do it. We catch people doing that. That happens. Faking disability, that's tough. A lot of times, they'll go to the doctor will be taken in with a story because it's not the doctor's fault. What's their job? Their job is to help the people out. So they trust and they believe. Somebody says, my back hurts. There's really no other way to prove it other than their activities. Misrepresenting wages, people tell us oftentimes they make a lot more than they actually do. Well, you have to prove it to us. Then there's also the employers that may inflate. No, they never inflate wages, do they? I guess they say a lesser wage. Malingering, which is exaggerating a disability. Malingering is involved in almost all of our cases, and right now everything we have that's building is a malingering, and malingering is sometimes difficult. They're exaggerating their disability to extend their pay period. It's hard to imagine, but there are people out there that just for wages, just so they don't have to go to work, will take a surgery. Now, who in their right mind would do that? I was talking to a guy this last weekend, and he said for a certain amount of money, he'd give up his arm. There's no amount of money. I'm sorry, I couldn't do that. And I couldn't believe he told me that. But there's no way. But there are people that take back surgeries just so they don't have to go to work. These three workers' wages are reported under the work code for construction cleanup. They are charged about $6 per 100 in wages. Now, if you know anything about the roofing or any of this, you guys know that every job has a particular number, a particular code. Cleanup in the roofing, let's face it, those guys aren't doing cleanup. The cost of roofing code for this company, for the roofers, is $42 per 100 in wages. And those numbers aren't exactly right, they're close. You can see there's a big difference there in the dollar amount that the owner of that company owes us. Cleanup, the cleanup code, there's an explanation of it. It says that they work after the roofers are off the roof. That's cleaning up on the ground. They're not up on the roof. They're on the ground, nothing's above them. So those are things that are really important. Is it fair that they're paying only $6 for the roofers? No. Could be an educational thing. It could be intent. We'll talk about a case a little later that this exact thing happened.